welcome everybody. I think that we're going to get started in just a second. Bethany, I'm going to wait on you to give us the go-ahead when everything is set up and remind me if there's anything we need to do with the translation services.
Right. So just a reminder, if you're a webinar participant, you'll be able to interact with the working group via the chat or the Q&A function, and I'll be monitoring that. I am waiting for our interpreter to arrive, and then I can assign him into interpretation. And he is not yet on, so I will let you guys know via chat once I have seen him and assigned him as interpreter. And then I think you guys can go ahead and get started whenever you would like. Reminder, if you are just now joining as a panelist, that I have hidden the view so that once you're off camera, it will just hide you completely so that we don't see a bunch of just blank screens. So if you're able to keep your cameras on, you can do so. And if not, no worries. And I think that's all, Clinton. So if you guys want to get started.
Awesome. Thanks, Bethany. And Olga's not going to be joining us today. Bethany's going to be helping with the technology stuff. So if you have any questions, direct it her way, and you'll let us know what we need to know about the translation services when it comes on. The rest of you, good to see you again. If you haven't accessed the agenda, Rosie sent out an email with the agenda on it earlier. On that agenda, it also has the minutes that we'll need to access and approve from the last meeting, and then also the work plan and the working charter. Yeah, glad that those of you who are here could join. I just was going to make a comment that Megan is not really Megan, but as I was going to say that, Callie turned off her camera. And so, Callie, we're going to introduce our new appointees in a moment, but since I don't know you would be there, are you going to be a permanent fixture, or are you just filling in for Megan today?
Yeah, sorry, did not mean to jump on as Megan. I stole her invite from her calendar, so I need to actually maybe jump off and make sure she can get on as herself.
Okay.
But yes, I do think that I will be a permanent fixture. I will hold off though and let Megan do the announcing. I just realized that I am she, so.
Okay, that's perfect. No, you just were on her name, so that's great. We're going to get going with letting some other folks introduce themselves, and then hopefully Megan can get on in a minute as well.
Perfect.
And so we have a couple new folks. Kate was not able to join. No, Kate, you were able to join. No, you weren't able to join the last one, but you are able to join this one, and glad that you're able to make it. And then we have Yulisa, who is joining us from her car, and hopefully she can introduce herself in a moment. And then also MJ, but MJ's on as well. So would love for the three of you to give a 2 to 3 minute intro of who you are and why you wanted to be a part of this group, and maybe who you work for or where you're from. So we can go in the order that I started. Kate, if you want to go first, since you were already part last week and weren't able to join, or last month.
Yes, thank you. My name is Kate Martinez. I'm from the San Luis Valley in rural southern Colorado. I'm representing San Luis Valley Behavioral Health Group. I'm the Director of Communications and Community Development for that organization. We're a community mental health center serving all 6 counties in the San Luis Valley. I wanted to be a part of this group because we, in the San Luis Valley, have a heavy agriculturally driven economy and social group, and also just being part of the community mental health center. Behavioral health is important to me, so thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Kate. Glad you're able to join. Yulisa, how about you?
Buenas tardes a todos. My name is Julissa Soto. I'm one of the Office of Health Equity Commissioners. I also serve on the Suicide Prevention Commission, and I'm an independent health equity consultant. I own Julissa Soto Latino Health Equity Consulting, and as you can see, everything has to have my name. I love me so much that everything I do, I put in my name. It's either Soto or Julissa. I love me. But anyways, I am here because I feel that I bring the cultural validation perspective when it comes to agricultures. I did some work in the Western Slope with the agricultures and their families, bringing health and access to healthcare to agricultures and their families. And I feel that they're misrepresented in many ways. So I feel that I will bring that perspective to this group, being a Latina, being an immigrant myself, and also have worked with agricultures. Every year I organize a soccer tournament with Delta County and their families where we bring health and soccer. And so I'm very excited to be part of this group and having my own experience as a suicide prevention commissioner. I take the seat of an attempt survivor, so I can bring that perspective. I feel that those who are close to struggle are the ones that can really guide us and let us know what is it that is needed, because a lot of the times we're building programs that they're no good for those communities. We think we're doing a good job, but then when we bring our best practice to the community is like, what is this, right? So I feel that I will bring a different perspective, and I'm also a lot of fun to work with, so you guys are gonna have fun with me. So I bring a whole lot of energy, guys.
Love it. Julissa, glad that you could join us. And MJ, before you go, I did just get a note that said interpretation services are available. And Bethany, is there any specific instructions that people would need to know to access that, or can they just click down on that if they're watching from afar?
Yes, I believe they can just click on the interpretation item. Eric Romero is our interpreter, and I don't know if he would like to add any more instructions for how people can access the English to Spanish translation.
All right. Eric, you got anything you want to share?
So you may be able to add that in the chat or the Q&A section. I've just realized that he probably can't talk because he is a participant. Oh, thank you,
okay.
Eric.
Nothing to add. Fantastic. All right, then we will move on to MJ. Glad you could join us as well.
Thank you so much. Good to be here. My name is Marjorie, spelled with the Y. I go by MJ, and I work for Rocky Mountain Serve. So we're a service employment redevelopment center for the agricultural community. What we do is basically we come in to help them get out the agriculture game or just kind of level up. So if any working skills, education, anything where we can help. We also have supportive services where we can offer typically one-time help with rent, groceries, tires, whatever's needed just to kind of get them, on that journey. I love what I do. I've only been here 3 months though. And I am in Rocky Fork. So I service and I've catered the Southeast region since I've been here in Colorado in 2018. I am an immigrant myself from Honduras, which is why this is very important to me, the agricultural community. And so yeah, there's a lot to talk about, and I'm so glad that in this day and age, we're finally acknowledging mental health. We're finally acknowledging that there's so much that goes on in here, and we need to take it serious. And in rural Colorado, we got our work cut out for us, but I'm ready. It's good to be here.
Excellent. Thanks so much. And thanks to all three of you for joining. Excited to have your perspective in this group. And I'm sure that there will be another time for us to dive back into who we are and introduce each other, hopefully at our in-person meeting. But feel free to reach out to anybody on the working group. I think that, Rosie, would it be possible for you to send a contact list to everybody in the working group so that if people needed to reach out to each other, that they could? I don't know that that's been shared yet.
That's a great idea. I can certainly do that.
Okay, thanks. And the next piece on the agenda, I guess a couple of points to note. Robert is at a meeting and was not able to join. Robert is the representative from the CDA that will be helping guide these meetings and helping guide this group, but he was not able to join today. Bethany is supporting in his stead, and JC Carica and Michael Lozano, neither one of them were able to make it today, and so they will continue to be a part of the group. They just weren't able to be on today. In the agenda, we have a question mark. Have we met gaps in the representation? And I do believe that we have more representation for the voice of the Spanish-speaking agriculture worker or Spanish-speaking farmer or rancher, migrant workers. I don't know that we have met the representation for Native American voice on the group. And so that's something I know that we're still in the process for. So if you have any connections with somebody with the Ute Mountain or Mountain Ute or Southern Ute tribe, please direct them to Robert or I. We would love to find that person that could represent that voice in this group. Anybody else have anything to say regarding representation? Who might be missing from our group?
Do we have anyone from the African American community?
I think that's a great question, Julie, and not that I'm aware of. I would say if you know somebody who's involved in agriculture in any capacity that represents that population, to please let them know about it. And I think that that's an important voice to have at the table. So also connect Robert and I in that capacity, and we can look to expand that. Anyone else?
I can think of a few folks out here in Rocky Ford, Manzanola area.
Okay,
Some contact, and hopefully I'll have something for you next week.
that's perfect. Thanks,
How
MJ.
do I word this? Like if they've never heard of this and you're a farmer and like, you know?
Yeah. Would you be willing to just send an email to Robert and myself, and we can kind of maybe come up with some language? Robert might have something that you could share. I don't have anything specific, but if not, we could get you a little one pager or something. JC Carica, we spoke during the working group meeting this past week or 2 weeks ago when we were looking at our work plan, and he mentioned having some sort of a one-page write-up for people to share with folks that were curious about what this group was about and what this group was for. And so I think that's important. And then next line item is to review and approve minutes. Rosie sent out minutes pretty quickly after our last meeting, hoping that you were able to read through them. She did a fantastic job capturing what that meeting was about. If you didn't have a chance, on the agenda, there's a link that you can click, but we do need to approve those minutes. I don't know, Bethany, I'm going to lean on you. Is there a specific way that we need to approve these minutes, or can we just ask if anybody has any questions or concerns that they want to add or disapprove of?
I would definitely recommend if people have corrections or additions to the minutes that they do so at this time so that they can be corrected, and then make sure that you send out any corrected minutes to the group after the meeting is over. I don't know how Robert's Rules of Order you want to get as far as requesting for a motion to be made. I don't think this is quite that formal, but I think you can probably just ask for a show of hands or a consensus if the minutes are approved without any corrections.
I like what Bethany just said, and I'm not a Robert Rules of Order expert, so since they asked me to help facilitate the meeting, I'm not going to be the one that adds those in if somebody else feels strongly about it. So I would just ask if anybody has anything to add to the minutes to let us know right now. And just to kind of make a note, since Rosie was so quick at getting those out, I'm sure that she'll get them to the notes for this meeting out in a timely manner as well, to just be sure to review them when you do and let us know as soon as you have anything to add or subtract. So any problems with minutes as they are from our last meeting? No, and not everybody's on their video, but I was gonna say, give me a thumbs up or a hand if you're good. If you're not, somehow come off mute and say, no, don't do it, or something like that. All right, then I think that means that the first meeting is approved and it can go down as reviewed. And any thoughts or comments based on the meeting notes from the last meeting that anyone would like more, different, it's sent out in a different way? Was everybody able to receive them in your email? Yes? Okay. Then I'll say let's keep going the way that we did, Rosie, unless anybody has a recommendation for something different. Thank you for taking those notes. And we had talked last time about each week somebody giving an update on their program or what they've done. We talked in the working group about maybe having 2 people share. JC was going to share, but he got called away for legislative duty today and wasn't able to join. So Chad Resnicek and I are going to share about our programs. I'll be representing Rocky Mountain Farmers Union in the AgWell program, and Chad will be representing CSU in the AgrAbility program. So Chad, you want to kick it off?
Sure. I hope that the screen share works here, so give me just a moment to do that, but otherwise great to see everyone. All right, is that coming through?
Looks good.
Okay. So Clint mentioned I'm with Colorado State University's Office of Extension and Engagement, and we are part of a program called the Colorado AgrAbility Project. The Colorado AgrAbility Project has been in place for about 24 years in Colorado and has served, I think, around 700 farm and ranch families. And their focus has been on being able to support people in agriculture to overcome accidents, illnesses, injuries, and adversity by going out, spending some time on someone's operation, following them through the course of the day, and making recommendations around specific assisted technology or adaptive equipment that could help aid someone and continue in agriculture. So really proud of that association. And about 3.5 years ago, AgrAbility Project expanded to have a specific focus on behavioral health. And we were able to expand due to 2 funding streams, the most significant one being the Senate Bill 21-137 Behavioral Health Recovery Act. This position actually funds the majority of our team, and I'll talk a little bit about the structure here in a minute. But our imperatives under this funding were really to look at providing information services, research-based stress assistance information, education, suicide prevention training, and provide referrals for behavioral health care services and other resource linking to really help reduce farm stress and suicide in our rural and ag communities. Our mission is to promote the well-being of Colorado's agriculture and rural communities by providing equitable and accessible behavioral health support and resources. Our team, we are comprised of 3 regional specialists, one of which Julie is here in this particular work group. She represents the Western region. We have Kirsten Wolfsberg, who represents the Mountain region, Jim Kimmerly, that represents the Eastern region, and then Clinton and myself, who have sort of a larger state focus. So my funding is actually through the Western Region Agricultural Stress Assistance Program. And if y'all are not familiar with the FARSAN acronym, it stands for Farm Ranch Stress Assistance Network. So the 2018 Farm Bill divided the country up into 4 regions. We are part of the Western region, and so I'm fortunate to be able to work with all the green states there, all the way out into the Pacific territories, and be able to coordinate with all sorts of groups trying to provide well-being and support for our agricultural workers and producers. So some of the work we've been engaged in since July 2023, we've provided behavioral health information, presentations and workshops to about 3,000 rural agricultural community members. And we're very fortunate to partner with the Colorado Farm Bureau and Colorado Department of Agriculture to create to be part of the legacy video. If you haven't seen that, it's a fantastic 45-minute overview of producers' stories and really designed to help break down stigma and promote help seeking for behavioral health concerns. That video between the CDA website and Colorado Farm Bureau has about 3,000 views so far. It's been entered into a number of film festivals, and there's a hope that perhaps we could get it on the Colorado Public Broadcasting here relatively soon. We also provide direct one-to-one resource linking and system navigation, individual consultation for producers or family members. We provide about 60 hours of individual consultation in 2024, helping people get connected to different resources, develop stress management plans, whatever they may need. We are also fortunate, the team slide I mentioned a little while ago does not take into account all of our faculty partners. We're really fortunate to have an incredible team of faculty. Our faculty partners have trained 250 plus CSU students across 3 different departments in the best practices surrounding rural and agricultural health. We try to utilize as many interns as possible to both give them, to expand our labor force certainly, but also to give them foundations to hopefully go out and make a difference in their rural communities. And we really tried to focus on youth well-being and resilience. So we partnered with CSU, SPUR, 4-H, FFA, and other youth-serving organizations to provide training to about 525 young Coloradans. As you may know, Colorado as a state faces behavioral health shortages. From the Rural Health Information Hub shows that only Larimer County meets criteria for having enough providers per capita. So we've really tried to look at what we can do around rural community capacity. And so we provide agricultural competency and resiliency training for a number of different organizations that have reached out to us, whether that's behavioral health specific or ag specific. We try to tailor presentations to whatever the organizational needs are. We've also been working with post-vention support in rural communities experiencing loss. Jim Kimmerly, our Eastern Region persons, work very closely with Elbert County and the Department of Public Health down there to try to provide some resources and support as they started last year with a significantly increased number of suicides in their county. We also provide community trainings to help people recognize and respond to signs of behavioral distress. These include CALM, Conversations on Access to Lethal Means, Mental Health First Aid, and COMET, Changing Our Mental and Emotional Trajectory. JC in a future presentation will go more in depth in COMET, so I won't take y'all's time to do that today. But in the last year, we provided COMET training to 197 community members, and we trained 85 people as facilitators in COMET. And that's all across the Western states and Kansas as well. Our faculty partners, let me back up for just a second. One of our goals is to, recognizing that there are shortages of behavioral health providers in rural communities, we want to be able to try to support their efforts and ensure that people continue to work in those areas where they're needed. Our faculty members have recently done a survey of over 500 rural behavioral health providers in Colorado. They are still analyzing some of the data on that, but some of the initial findings, we really wanted to look at their perspectives in terms of what's working well, what are some of the barriers, what are some of the resources and support that our rural providers may need. But some of the top behavioral health concerns that they see as presenting problems coming into their work. Number 1 is stress and anxiety. Number 2 is trauma, PTSD. Number 3 is depression. One of the other things we've done to support rural providers is we co-developed a model called Land Logic. It's a cognitive behavioral therapy approach specifically adapted for people in agriculture. It's a 3-hour training. And since 2022, we've provided this training to over 200 mental health professionals. Had some really good survey and feedback results so far. 100% of participants surveyed who have mostly agricultural clients agreed they would apply Land Logic training to their practice. 97% said the Land Logic method would build their clients. So we're working on continuing to expand our work around that. We have always been a huge supporter of Colorado Farm Bureau's Colorado Agricultural Addiction and Mental Health Program. If y'all are not familiar with that, it provides 6 free sessions for anyone in Colorado agriculture by therapists that are trained and committed to working with this particular population. In July, we were fortunate to be able to join with the Colorado Farm Bureau in providing some administration for this program. And I just wanted to share some of the initial numbers that have come up. Beginning in fiscal year 2022, since fiscal year 2022, camp has provided 756 hours of free therapy for 273 producers and their family members. And you can see the increase in utilization over those fiscal years, with 66 in 22, 241 in 23, and 329 in fiscal year 24. One of the other, I think, big indicators of success with this program is the utilization by gender. We know that males, particularly in agriculture, tend to be, there's some maybe additional barriers to help seeking amongst them. And so what we found is that in fiscal year 2024, that's getting closer and closer together. And actually at the end of Q2 in fiscal year 2025, male utilization is slightly above female utilization. And by slight, I mean like by 4 hours. But still, it's, I think, a very good sign about its acceptability. And I think it's also a big testament to how many partners across this committee and our state as a whole have really worked to promote this program. In terms of hours applied to presenting problems, 75 hours were directed towards substance use specific concerns. 176 hours are towards like ag specific stresses or activities of daily living. And notable, particularly in comparison to the rural presenting problems data that I showed before, 423 hours, or over half of all the hours, have specifically been geared towards family and interpersonal. So I think that says a lot about just how much people are motivated to strengthen their social bonds. And we all know that social connectedness is one of our most important protective factors. So that's just a real quick overview. It doesn't even begin to touch on all the different coalitions and community partners that our regional specialists who really do the boots on the ground work are trying to engage with our communities to be as responsive as possible to the needs and just walk alongside and be able to provide support where we can. We're fortunate to utilize the CSU Extension Network, so we have a lot of boots on the ground and a lot of people in touch with community requests and community needs for support. So all in all, just incredibly honored and thrilled to be part of this work group, and we look forward to being able to lend our experience and connections and any help that we possibly can along the way.
Awesome. Thanks, Chad. Anybody have any questions specifically for Chad with that before I share a little bit about AgWell? That was great information. And if so, you can shoot him either a direct message or reach out later. But I was not quite as successful at the sharing my screen practice before we got started. So we're going to see how this works.
Clinton, there is one question in the Q&A.
Go for it, Julie.
It's by Bennett Edgerly. I realize that, but the region he showed only showed 3 people, and none of those were mentioned by him as serving the region, including Weld, where I serve.
Yeah, thank you. Great question. We were able to, we only had enough funding to get regional specialists, and those regions are based on extension regions. The counties not portrayed, including Weld, Larimer in the Front Range here, all the way down into the southeast part of Colorado. Although we don't have specific regional specialists, we are more than happy to work in all those areas. And we have done quite a bit of work in Weld County and down in the south as well. So by all means, feel free to reach out. And just because we don't have a specific person in that area, we will find ways to help address those gaps. The other thing I want to say really quickly, because Behavioral Health Administration is a fantastic partner in this. They actually provide $50,000 a year in terms of an annual grant that provides the bulk of the funding for that. So I think it's a great program, run very well on a tight budget. And so again, it's just a testament to amazing community partners that allow us to do all this work.
Awesome. Thanks, Chad.
Thanks again.
Yeah, and thanks, Julie, for pointing that out. When I just shared that screen, could you guys see my AgWell slideshow?
Yes.
Let's try this again. You guys are able to see that? Thumbs up. Okay. So I'll be presenting as a member of Rocky Mountain Farmers Union. In 2021, was lucky enough to get hired on with them. They had funding from the RASEP region, Western Regional Stress Assistance Network, and the Colorado Trust to launch a program that served the well-being of people working in agriculture in Colorado, New Mexico, and Wyoming. And so I spent about 2.5 years helping them build this program. I joined the CSU AgrAbility team this past fall, and Carlisle Stewart is now the program coordinator for AgWell. His contact email is right there in the bottom right-hand corner. And please reach out to him if you have further questions. I'll give his contact at the end of this as well. But see if I can, there we go. Program goals for AgWell are, first and foremost is to really help producers realize that their profitability and success depends as much on their personal well-being as the well-being of their crops and livestock, just really helping them see themselves as part of that system, and just as important as anything else. Teaching producers in the moment tools that can support them in times of stress and challenge, promoting the value of social connection and social capital, acting as a statewide network weaver for people and programs supporting ag behavioral health and well-being. They have, RMFU has hosted statewide gatherings in Colorado, New Mexico, and Wyoming for people working in the ag behavioral health and well-being field. So that's been a really good opportunity to get people together in this conversation in all 3 of those states, and then provide resources to share or use when they may be needed. I'm going to go through just a couple of the main slides and main points that AgWell has kind of landed on and focused on in their programming. The first one is just highlighting that 100 years ago, there was 30% of our population that was involved in agriculture, and now we're down to about 1%. And just really highlighting the value of farmers, ranchers, and agriculture workers in our communities for the food, fiber, fuel, flowers that they provide and grow for us. And that they're just stewards of the earth for us. They are taking care of the plants, animals, soil, waterways, really helping people identify signs and symptoms for themselves and for others that they work with, that people in agriculture face, and really honing in to allow people to have that increased awareness when they see these things within themselves or somebody else, to really reach out and connect. We focused in a ton on breath. It was something that when I first got involved, I realized and learned was the quickest way for us to connect with ourselves and really do in the moment stress management. We take 23,000 breaths a day, around 23,000. And, we don't think about many of them, but as I worked with Chad and others, I realized that, the breath, when we really can learn breathing techniques and learn ways to slow down our breathing, it can also control our heart, which can control our stress levels and the way that our body responds. And so we really focused in on breathing a lot. At the bottom, you'll see a couple of breathing techniques that AgWell has really tried to help people learn, box breathing being the first one that people really seem to appreciate and enjoy. Just the 4 seconds in, holding for 4 seconds, 4 seconds out, and holding again. The other thing that we honed in on at AgWell is the American Journal of Psychiatry named social connection as the strongest protective factor for depression. It's also a very strong protective factor for loneliness, isolation, suicidal ideation. And these are things that people in agriculture are faced with in different capacities in different ways. But loneliness is particularly something that we saw amongst people working in agriculture because they work in such often such remote places. So wanting to help them tune into that, we did a lot of work around comparisons with the way that farmers and ranchers take care of their livestock or their crops, and also with soil health, and did some balancing between soil health and human health. One of my favorite metaphors was just the way that roots and soil work together, where the roots will hold the soil together in times of heavy rain or wind to keep erosion down, to keep the nutrients together in the soil. And the soil likewise will hold the roots in place when the wind and the rain comes down to keep the plants or the trees from being knocked over, and really helping people tune into in their life, what are the roots in their life that hold them together? What's the soil in their life that's holding them? And who are they in other people's lives that can hold them and support them during these times of challenges and stress? We've been incredibly impacted by the work of the Coffee Break Project. JC was going to share about the Coffee Break Project and comment today, and he'll do that at another meeting. But the Coffee Break Project is based down in Rocky Ford, and it provides free donuts and coffee for anybody in agriculture multiple days a week. They have a tagline that says, "Do you look after your neighbor as closely as you look after your crop or herd?" And they've done a lot of work with Comet in their community, getting people trained up in ways so that they can have these harder conversations. But they were a big influence on us wanting to do more social connection for folks. We worked with the RASEP program to get some funding to put on, I think, 8 Pizza for Producer events last year, which Pizza for Producer is just an event where we invite any farmer or rancher in a community to come together to have pizza, connect with other farmers, ranchers, ag workers in their community. And then we also did about 40 coffee connections where we would just let people in the community know that we'd be at a coffee shop providing coffee and pastries for them. I put this up in the case that any of you are interested in trying to hold a Pizza per Producer event or do some type of coffee connection in your community, to reach out to Carlisle and the RMFU staff, and they can help facilitate that. They do have some funding to put on these events throughout the state. And we just found it was a great way to get farmers to come together and plug in with each other and know that they're not alone. And that was really the main point of it, was to help people realize that there's other folks that are going through and working through a lot of the same challenges that they are. The last couple of these slides are just going to be resources that we at AgWell wanted to make sure people had. One of them is the camp program that Chad just talked about, 6 free behavioral health sessions for anybody in agriculture, including their family. The AgriStress helpline, which is run by AgriSafe, which is an ag-focused helpline here in Colorado, and wanting to make sure people have this number. This number is a 10-digit number, so I really invite people to take a picture of it or enter it into their phone so that they can give it to somebody, because it's not always super easy to remember in the moment, but it is a helpline for people specifically in agriculture. Along with that, we've worked really closely with Farm Aid, and I think the world of the operators at Farm Aid, they care deeply about people working in agriculture across this country. And not only do they have the hotline, but they also have the ability to work with people through email and online requests, but they have a great clearinghouse for people to go and get data and information about anything that they might be curious about in regards to support they need in their ag operations. So I feel super confident directing people to Farm Aid to reach out for help, and they can access that via phone, via email as well, going through their website. And then the last one is just the Colorado AgrAbility Project. Chad mentioned quite a bit about it. We worked pretty closely with them throughout the 2 years I was at RMFU, and they have tons of resources and connections. And they're also a great resource if you are looking for somebody to speak on behavioral health needs or physical or disability support for people in agriculture. Reach out to somebody at the Colorado AgrAbility Project as well. And I told you I'd give you Carlisle's contact again and the agwell.org website. You can go there to find out more information about what they're doing, but reach out to Carlisle with further information or for further information if you need it. So with that, I will stop sharing, return to the group, and do the same. If anybody has any questions, happy to answer them, and always feel free to shoot me an email if you missed something or wanted more information. All right. Then with that, we will, before we move to the next one, I know that Mike and JC aren't able to be here, but a number of you are, and I don't know if anybody has any updates that you want to share about what's going on in your program or any events that you want the rest of the group to know about. We haven't come up with a date yet. I think we're working on it for our in-person event where we can share a little bit more and get to know each other. But I did want to open up if anybody has any updates that they wanted to share with the group. Not seeing anybody come off mute too quickly. Oh, MJ, you are. Bring it.
It's always me. I love to talk. So out here, I don't know if you guys have heard of Yeehaw. They are the Yielding Equitable Entry and Housing and Wellbeing. That's what it stands for. So it's a super newly formed group. They are addressing obviously the issues with unhoused folks, and right now we're kind of getting together, brainstorming, developing programs. I don't run it. I'm just kind of a volunteer. Whenever, like, for example, we've hosted 2 during the snowstorms, and that's when the whole team realized that, okay, there's a serious need for this. And what's so cool is that it's being led by the Otero County Health Department. And the volunteers are folks from the county, the department, the cops, the county, the sheriffs are volunteering, the college. Like, it's just wow. So I'm really excited to share that. Be on the lookout, and any funding opportunities, please send them our way. Capacity building, like, we're gonna need all the help we can get. This is really new. However, we are getting pushback, so we got to learn how to navigate.
And MJ, did you say Yeehaw? YEHA?
I didn't come up with it, but yes.
Okay, and it stood for, can you tell me what it's?
Yielding Equitable Entry and Yielding Equitable Entry, Housing and Wellbeing.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any events coming up or anything that you wanted to update from a month ago? Jacob, you came off. Nice.
Yeah, I'd like to share with the group. Kirsten Wolfsberg and I will actually be doing a legacy film showing this week up in Greeley at the Colorado Farm Show. Colorado Ag Ed brings in their ag teachers to do, I think, what are we calling this? Midwinter. I guess we are kind of midwinter, to do their midwinter trainings. And so we're going to be doing a presentation of that film, and then distributing materials to all those rural educators across the state so that they can go back to their schools and share that information and just get some resources to make an impact.
That's great. Thanks, Jacob. Megan.
Thank you, Clinton. Hello, everyone. MJ, I loved hearing about your program, and I love the name of it. Yeehaw is really fun. I am Megan Shelton, Director of Strategy, Planning, and Engagement at BHA. And I am very excited to introduce you all to Dr. Calandra Lindstadt, who has joined us today. She is with BHA. She's one of our regional engagement specialists, and BHA has identified Dr. Lindstadt as our program specialist for the agricultural community. So she will be working to develop a program and training curriculum, working very closely with, as a member of this work group, hopefully soon, and with the Department of Agriculture to get that established, and then continuing to focus on engagement specific to the agricultural communities regarding behavioral health. So with that, Clinton, is it okay if I pass it over to Calandra to introduce herself?
Well, if you didn't, I was going to, so I think it's perfect.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yay, thank you guys. I'll try and be quick. So excited to see so many faces that I've gotten to work with previously and just super effective people in the ag community, ag behavioral health community. So this is really, really exciting for me. Calandra Lindstedt, I was previously with CSU Extension covering the Western region, which is how I know many of y'all. I was doing more suicide prevention and community behavioral health resource networking in that position, and then just needed to get back over to the eastern side. I love the western slope, but needed to be on the eastern side of the mountains to be able to support some family members, aging parents, single sister with 2 adorable babies. So that drive across the mountains was killing me because I was making it multiple times a month. And if you've done it, you know, more than once a year is too much. Little bit briefly background, I am from a 6th generation farming and ranching family in northeastern Colorado. So my mom's family are all out in Phillips County in Haxton. Anybody been to Haxton? Okay, Jacob, we might be related. I don't know. No, just kidding. Haxton's super amazing small community and just so many resilient folks doing amazing ag work out there. And I put in my time on the farm from middle school through high school graduations, how I funded many trips. So happy to be back in this area serving folks that I know well and love. Let's see, I had one more thing I was going to add. I think that's it. We'll get to know each other better for those of you that don't know me, and super excited to be here and learn from y'all and hear what you've been up to.
Congrats, Callie, and welcome to the team. Happy to have you and your voice supporting. And anybody else have anything that they want to add, an event coming up or an update on your program? I'll throw in that the legacy event that's coming up that Jacob and Kirsten are doing is this next week, and then I'm actually doing one for the Fruit and Vegetable Growers Association later this or in February. So if you're going to the Fruit and Vegetable Growers Association, you can look for that event there as well. So with that, we can now move to the actual number 6. And the charter was posted at our last meeting. We asked for any feedback to be sent after that last meeting. I think a couple of you sent Robert some feedback. We did meet to go over it. There's a draft there. I don't know for sure that we need to approve this in any capacity, do we, Bethany? But it is in its like final form that we're ready to call it good if nobody has any further edits or additions. Was everybody able to review that charter? It's a pretty awesome, comprehensive document that kind of outlines what we're doing and what the bill empowered us to do. If you haven't, MJ and Julissa, if you haven't had a chance to look through it, if you would take some time in the next couple days and give Robert and I any feedback so that we can get that finalized. You too, Calendra. But there's a link there on the agenda. Along with that, the work plan subcommittee met a week and a half ago and was able to create a document with Robert that kind of outlined the work that we're looking to do. Please take a minute to review that as well. That's still in draft form. My hope is that group will get together and meet again over the next month, and we'll bring a more formal, structured work plan document for approval. But it does feel like it's a good start. I'm going to pull it up real quick because in it talked a little bit about how we want to do the sharing. And you don't have to, doesn't necessarily answer right now, but the sharing that Chad and I did this morning was kind of the plan that we had for everybody to be able to share for 5 or 10 minutes about their program. And if that works for everybody, I don't know, you can give me a thumbs up now, but if you have any concerns or want something different, please reach out to Robert or I and just let us know, because I would love to know what everybody's doing and what their programs are. We realize that if we made them much longer than 10 minutes, that it would eat up so much of this meeting, since we're just meeting once a month. So if that 5 to 10 minute sharing works for you, then we will plan on that. And at the end, the bottom of the work plan document, it has a monthly schedule. And so we didn't really talk about this, I don't think, Rosie, did we? But to have people fill in when they would want to share. I know that we had that other working document about things that people were interested in, but as far as people sharing on this meeting, did we want to give them the opportunity to fill their names in?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea to, so if you saw the working group document where you can add in something you'd like to present on, adding in a date that you'd be available to do so would be great. I'm sure if everyone requests the same date, we'll have to do some shuffling around, but if there are a few weeks or months rather that you know you're available, that would be great to add in as well.
And when you're talking about the working group document, are you talking about the work plan document, or are you talking about the one that you created that had the interested parties, okay, and interested information that you want to share on? And do we have a link to that as well in the?
No, I will send that in the chat right now to all the panelists.
Okay, that was in the email that you sent, so we did have access. And I don't know if you know the document that Rosie's talking about, but it was a document that she created that was for you to put on when you would want to share, or if there's another topic or organization that you'd like to for us to learn more about. So Rosie's going to drop that in the chat. Any questions about that work plan? I feel like I was kind of all over the place going through it. It's a pretty big document, so if you haven't read through it, please do. And if you'd like to be on that work plan, the next work plan call, let Robert or I know, and we can include you on that as we continue to hone in on what those specific work plan goals are and objectives.
Clinton, can I?
You will be on it. Yes. Hello, Elisa.
Hello, Clinton. Can I be part of that? Can I join that group so I can understand the document a little bit more before
Absolutely.
I even give my input?
Yeah, absolutely. Would you be willing to send me and Robert Sakata an email right now that just says that you'd like to be a part of that, and we'll add you to that list or that group? Callie, can you do the same thing? Perfect. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, then. The one action item that came out of this, I mentioned it at the beginning, but we will work over the next couple of weeks to try and put together some type of flyer or even web page, I think is what was discussed, to let people know about this program and what's going on. One of the things that we discussed was having everybody that's on the working group having our name and possibly email on there. We believe that this working group is the voice of the people working in agriculture across the state, and we would like to let people know who they can contact to let their voice be heard. And so our thought is to create a flyer and a web page where people can click on your name. Perhaps they'll learn about you. Maybe this is a conversation that we can have right now if we want to have any type of a bio available for folks, and if everybody feels comfortable having their email on that. Any discussion around that? I will say that JC was a big advocate of that, and I appreciated him really bringing that to the group to say, we are this voice that represents the folks in our state, and we would like for them to be able to reach out and let us know what's going on.
I think it sounds like a great idea, especially having contact information and maybe a bit of a brief bio in case somebody has a personal regional connection. It would be good for people to know where each panelist is from or what region they are most connected to or serve. So I
Yeah.
think a brief bio, maybe 3 to 5 sentences, nothing elaborate, but just enough that people know who would be their best point of contact.
I think that sounds great. So to go with that, Rosie, what's the best way for us to collect this information from folks?
Sorry, I'm at the farm show and they're just making an announcement. Email would be great. So if you've all received an email from me at this point. If you want to send me a typed bio, that's great. If you want to direct me to a bio that already exists online, that's great. I can workshop it into 3 to 5 sentences as well. Either way, that's great.
That sounds great. And be sure to send the best email if you feel comfortable sharing your email that you want people to reach out to. Perfect. Thanks, Rosie. Thanks, Kate. I appreciate that input. Anybody else have any other thoughts, concerns around that?
I think that's a great idea. I just want to make sure that we also, and you sort of said this, but we develop a plan for promoting that website, because any website without an outreach plan is just a cul-de-sac on the internet. So just thinking about that as we go forward, how we promote that space.
Love that. And we can talk about that within that work plan meeting next time, because I think that's important. Thanks, Kylie. Okay, so Bethany, we're to public comments, and then we're going to do the second part of your training now. So I don't know the process with public comments, if there's been any other questions that come up, or if we just want to open it up to anybody who is in the public that would like to voice a comment or a question.
Yeah, so I have not seen any other questions come into the Q&A or into the chat, but I would remind attendees that they are not able to talk unless they raise their hand and then I unmute them. So the easiest way is probably to just go ahead and put Q&A into the Q&A, which then all panelists can see, and they have been doing that, so I think if anyone has something burning in their soul that they would like to ask you all, you can raise your hand, but again, we'll be limited to 3 minutes, or I would direct them to being able to send those comments to Clinton or Robert Sakata via email, and those can be addressed at the next meeting. I'm not seeing any public comments coming through, so do you want me to go ahead and go into CORA?
Go into the CORA, that's right.
All right, so let me figure out how to share my screen. I've got a lot of screens open, so hang on. Just give me a second to get out of a lot of these things.
Take your time.
This is the problem with having way too many tabs open, is then when it's time to do it, it's ridiculous. So, okay. I think this has got, this is me. Let's see. I believe I am screen sharing now. Is that correct? Cool. All right.
Looks good.
So just to go back just a little bit to the first meeting, I walked you guys through the Colorado Open Meetings Act, which is also known as Sunshine Laws. And so if you missed that, I would encourage you to go back to the recording. And so you can get some of the information around what is allowable and what is not allowable when participating in a public group such as this. The second part of that kind of thing with being part of a work group that is through the state and state government in particular is that we are subject to Colorado Open Records Act requests, or what's commonly known as CORA. And so just to make you guys aware of some of the things that may come up as a member of a public group.
Hey, Bethany.
Yes.
Before you keep going, I'm just realizing that you shared your screen, but we are seeing your email, I think.
Really? Oh, that's
It
weird.
says Gmail, and it's a lot of really small, looks like a lot of emails.
Okay. Well, that's weird. I thought it told me that I was
Now we're
sharing this.
seeing 2 cattails
Oh,
and
I
some
see what's
cattle.
happening. I'm screen sharing the wrong desktop. Let's see what happens if I just turn that one off. Does it give you a different screen? Or am I
We're
reading
still
black?
seeing 2 cattails
Darn it.
and some
Okay.
cattle.
That is so strange. Okay, let me get back to my Zoom screen. Oh gosh. Where are you guys? I apologize. This is like
That's okay.
really, really
Somebody's getting a good
confusing.
chuckle out of it.
Oh my gosh. This is what happens when I'm in charge of stuff.
We have all been there.
It is like not allowing me to switch screens. So let me
Maybe
see.
stop sharing and try to share again. Yeah. I did like the cattails and the cattle in the background. It was
Okay.
good.
Oh, sorry. Well, that's good at least. Okay. Cancel. It's trying to ask me now if I want to cancel this webinar for everybody. No, I don't want to do that. I should have practiced this. Okay. Let's see if I am doing it now. Okay, I apologize. It should be.
Now we're seeing Zoom. There you go. You got it,
Okay,
Cora.
all right. Woohoo! So see, nothing to be scared of. It happens to even like the technology experts, right? It's
That's
like
right.
it gets everybody. So, okay, so Cora, let me go back to the previous screen. So this is if you're a statute junkie, this is where you can find the CORA statute. It's in section 2472, 201 through 206. And so basically what it just means is that all public records are open to inspection, which means that they can be requested by anybody. They don't have to live in the state of Colorado. They can live in other states. They can be in other countries. They're able to ask for any writings that are made, maintained, or kept by the state or state agency. And so, for example, all of this working group's agendas, our meeting minutes, those are held by CDA, so a state agency. So those could be asked for. Also recordings of these Zoom meetings, for example. So books, papers, recordings, texts, voice messages, digitally stored data, even Google Chat, which I don't think any of you guys, if you're not part of the state, probably utilizes. But that means that any of those records, if you called Clinton and left him a voice message asking about something about this meeting in particular, and we got CORA'd for that, then I would need to get that voice message, and that would be part of a responsive document. So that means that just to be aware, it's not, I don't tell you all of this to scare you into really like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. The odds that you will get CORA'd for this kind of thing are pretty small, but they do exist. So when I get a CORA request, I am the Colorado Open Records Act custodian of record for Colorado Department of Agriculture, which is the really formal title. So if we did get a CORA that came through because of this working group, that would get routed through me, and I would walk you through every step of this process. So by no means are you ever going to get a CORA request that you will respond to by yourself. That will never happen. It will always be with me and or the Attorney General's office team, who I rely on heavily as well to interpret and help me through the statute. So just want to alleviate any concerns of that. So if you did get a CORA request, it would have to be in writing. So that could be either an email or a letter. Someone cannot call and request a CORA. They would have to put their request into writing. So if you do have somebody who ever called you and asked for that, you would need to direct them to me. It says the website, but CDA has a CORA kind of portal that people can put questions through or requests through. But I would just ask that you direct them to either Robert Cicada, who would then send you to me anyway. A lot of times it will have some language around the statute. It may say, I am looking for public records. I am looking for any open records about this. They can also reference FOIA, which is the Freedom of Information Act, which is more relevant to federal agencies. But if they do give us a FOIA request, we just tell them, okay, this will actually be subject to CORA because we are a state agency, but the spirit in which it's asked is that same request for information. So this is what a CORA request is not. It is not just a question or a hypothetical situation that somebody may bring up. It is not a request for your opinion, and it is not a subpoena. So if for whatever reason, if you had a legal document that got sent to you, that would not be a CORA request. It is also not a media request. So a lot of times we get media who want to ask questions or they want to know about things. That should also be routed to me immediately, and then we will work with the media if there's anything that they would like to know more about. So that's why it's in big, red, bold letters. If you get any requests from the media, an interview, that's great. We love to have media interest around this topic. It's obviously really close, and it generates a lot of interest. And so there's already been some interest just in the first meeting that we had that got picked up by the media from our press release. So we do want to work with the media. We want to be as transparent as possible, but having myself and or Olga Roback, who is CDA's Director of Communications and our Public Information Officer, to help is really ideal. Yeah, Clinton.
I have your contact email, but in case somebody on the group doesn't, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you or Olga? Does everybody have your access to your contact info?
I am listed on the website, but Rosie, if you want to put that in the meeting minutes and put my email in there, that would be perfectly fine.
Will do.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
Yeah. So some things to note about CORA that I think are pertinent to this group in particular. Documents can be subject to CORA even if they are stored on your personal computers at home. So if you are getting a meeting invite to this, or you have, you maybe used your work email and you're like, oh, I need to print it at home, I'm going to forward it to my personal email, that is still subject to CORA. And so that might come up in this group in particular, or in working groups where there might be a little bit of a fuzzy line between what you have if you're using your personal computer at home, or if you have more of your work computer, even if you don't work for the state, basically, and you don't have a state-owned equipment, it's still subject to CORA if it's coming to you and it's based on this group. The reason that it's really important that you let me know if you do get something that you're concerned about, is that if it does turn out to be an Open Records Act request, we have a limited amount of time in which we need to respond. So that's 3 business days. And so if it comes in on a Friday, I don't count it until the following Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. A response will be due by Wednesday at the end of the day. We don't work on holidays, obviously, so there's a little bit of like finagling with the scheduling of when you receive a CORA versus when it's due, but we do have a really limited amount of time in which to respond. And then I do want to kind of rest your minds at ease with some things that we do try to redact, or we do review information that is sent to the public to ensure that it doesn't involve personally identifiable information, or PII. So there are some things under CORA that we can release, and there are some things that we don't release. Strangely enough, we can, in some circumstances, release home addresses, telephone numbers, and emails. But not obviously bank information, social security numbers, those kinds of things. So also, just as a fun aside, we do have some statutes that preclude the CORA statute, which is like the Livestock Protection Act, which prevents us from releasing information about private property for landowners or livestock movements. So if you're concerned about that kind of thing, there are some possibilities that information may be redacted or withheld. My just rule of thumb for everything as you're communicating with each other, again, we probably will not see a CORA request come out of a working group. In the 3.5 years that I've been the custodian of record for CDA, I have yet to see a CORA come through for a working group. But That does not mean it will not happen. And honestly, I'll just say that in the first few weeks of 2025, I've already seen more CORA requests come to our agency than I did in the first quarter of last year. So there is an immense amount of interest around a lot of government agencies and our work. And so this working group might be part of that. So if you don't want to see it on the front page of the Denver Post, do not put it in writing. If you are mad about something and you need to vent to your pillow or to a friend, but don't write it in a really angry email that might go to a state email address that then gets CORA, because then that would be super embarrassing. So that's just a good rule of thumb for life in general. I have found is just, if you don't want to see it, if you would not say it to your grandma, maybe don't say it in an email. So that is basically the end of CORA. Again, trying not to scare people, but do want to make you guys aware that as a part of this group, it is a possibility, and I do want you to feel prepared. And if you have any questions whatsoever about media or getting contacted by somebody outside of this group, please lean on me, Robert, Clinton. We'll pull in Olga if we need to, so that we can help just kind of guide you through this, whatever information request you may get, and make sure that you feel comfortable. Any questions or concerns or thoughts? All right. I know, CORA, it's the gift that just won't stop. So
Thanks, Bethany. That was good information. So that's the last thing that was specific on our agenda. But before we go, I want to take a minute to do a couple of just talk about a couple things before our next meeting. I feel like we're still getting our feet underneath us, figuring out how we're going to be working together. Next meeting, hopefully we'll be able to come with some more dates about our potential in-person gathering, and then also about information regarding a summit. We first need to release an RFA to see if there's any ag groups or an ag group that's willing to take that on across the state, because the bill says that a agriculture advocacy organization needs to host that in-person summit that we'll be doing. But our meeting, when we choose to meet in person as a group, that's not hosted by somebody else. That'll just be us deciding. And so hopefully at our next meeting, we can do that. But my two action items for us today is, was everybody able to go into the chat and open up the brainstorming document that Rosie posted? If you didn't, can you go and make sure that you're able to access that? That's a document that I hope is a living document that you can continue to add to. We will be reviewing that at the work plan meeting, but please go in and fill in topics, information that you're curious about or that you want to know more about, gaps, and then also upcoming events. Like I said, Mike wasn't able to be at this training. He is one of the people who runs Warhorse Ranch up in Routt County, and he posted a number of things in the document. He also sent an email that Rosie will forward to the group for you to read. It was a little bit long for me to read to everybody. I felt like it would be hard for people to follow along, but it has a link in it that has some good information that Mike wanted everybody to know since he wouldn't be here today. The other thing that I wanted to do was, just because of the idea around finding dates that worked for folks, if you go to the work plan development strategy document, you should all have access to it as well. It was a link in that agenda. And if you scroll down to the bottom where it has monthly schedule, there are, I guess, months listed there all the way through this year. And I'm wondering if there's a date that works for you and you would like to share for 5 or 10 minutes about your program. If you want to go ahead and put your name and program in there, I think kind of like we did today with Chad and I, if we do 2 per meeting through October, we should be able to get everybody an opportunity to share about your program. And obviously, if you don't have a program that's directly serving the behavioral health and well-being of people in agriculture, you don't have to share, but if you do want to share about your program, please go there and put your name in. So those are my 2 action item asks. Does anybody else have thoughts, questions, action items that you would like us to consider before the next meeting, either as a group or me and Robert and Callie when we meet to put together the next agenda? You guys are definitely not very demanding group. Thank you for your trust in us. Rosie's going to send out contact information. If you have questions come up, please feel free to reach out to myself and Robert. Whoever you're reaching out to doesn't really matter, but please CC the other so that we can stay in the know of what people are asking for. And before we close out a little bit early, Bethany, is there anything else that you know of that we need to do to wrap this up?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, and I can't remember if you were on that work plan meeting, but was there anything that we were waiting on as far as trying to come up with an in-person date for this group to meet? I know that we had to wait on the RFP to go out for the state ag organization, but
I was not on the work group meeting that you
Okay.
guys had, so I don't know. But Rosie, I don't know if you.
Rosie
heard
was
anything.
on there for sure. Rosie, was there anything that we were waiting on to try and schedule an in-person gathering for this team?
I think Robert brought up just making sure we know all the other ag events that are happening in the
Yeah.
year and plotting those out and planning from there, which is a difficult task.
That is a difficult task. And so I don't know, maybe that's something we can plan to work through at our next meeting, because I would like to get that on our calendars. I know not everybody, or I don't know this, most likely not everybody will be able to join, but it would be nice to find a date that works for the majority of people. So just keep that on your awareness for next meeting. I don't really know the best way to go about it, but since Robert's not here, I like that you said that, Rosie. We'll wait on Robert and we'll plan on doing that next time. So with that, I'll open it up one more time. If anybody has anything that they want to share with the group or let us know about. Otherwise, I'll give you back 13 minutes of your hour and a half.
I just wanted to say real quick, I forgot to mention it earlier. There is a rodeo going on in Montrose, for those of you who may live on the Western Slope, on the February 1st, so this coming Saturday. And it is actually being held by a place called Stable Haven, which is an equine therapy place here in Mesa County. They chose to do it in Montrose partly because they have a really nice indoor arena. So another piece of that is being able to actually meet a young kangaroo in person. Stable Haven actually has a kangaroo that they have gotten as a service animal, and she's pretty fun. So anyway, but the other part of this is that they are really wanting to get with or at ag people, but also with kind of a behavioral health backing. So they, for example, they have a room special for people who may be neurodivergent and need to have a quiet room, things like that. So they have that in mind. And then several other things that they have in mind that are kind of related to behavioral health. So it's not just going to be your normal rodeo kind of experience. They are actually also going to be showing part of the legacy video at that program as well. So it's 6 o'clock on Saturday evening. And if anyone is interested in more information, you're welcome to email me and I can send you the event listing. for that program.
That's awesome, Julie. And I know you said it's in Montrose, but where is it located? At the rodeo
It's at
grounds
the,
or fairgrounds?
yeah, it's
there?
at the fairgrounds there in
Okay.
Montrose.
Perfect. Thanks for sharing that. That sounds like an awesome event. I'm sad that it's 8 hours away from here.
Clinton, I was just
yes.
gonna note really quickly that I dropped in the chat a one pager. So I'm also the Northeastern Regional Community Engagement Specialist for BHA. So I'm appointed kind of 50-50 ag liaison and Northeastern County representative. If you guys want to take a look at that handout, there are 4 representatives across the state. So depending on where you are regionally, that would also be someone to connect with around BHA events and activities that you might want us to come to. So just wanted to point that out.
Perfect. Thanks, Kalendra. Anyone else?
Yes, Clinton.
Oh,
At the end is the best.
yes.
So
Ian.
I'm organizing an agricultural health event, a health and resource event in June for Father's Day weekend. I think it's June 14th. So I just want you guys to be aware in the Western Slope, I'm working in conjunction with Delta and agricultures and all of that. So just wanted you guys to be aware. So when we organize an event, we don't have to divide ourselves or separate ourselves. We can all work together towards the same goal. And why not travel around offering access to care, especially to the agricultures and their families and the ranchers, also too. So I think that will be an event, a multicultural event that is much needed and that I have not seen in the behavioral health world when it comes to agriculture. So just for you guys, heads up, and why reinventing the wheel when I hear you talking about the RFP and if others can take on and on the funding and all of that, that will be great. But if no one does it, I'm already part of your team. We're already organizing these huge events. So why reinventing the wheel? Let's just all work together towards the same goal.
Completely agree. Thanks for sharing that. Somebody in the chat asked if you had a handout for that, or when you do, if you can share it with this group so that they can promote it in the region.
Yeah, I have a save the date.
Oh, perfect. And yeah, if you have any type of other information coming out, and you said it's going to be in Delta?
Yes, it's in Delta.
Perfect. Thank you for that.
Yeah, last year I did it in Palisade. So this year it's Delta, and maybe 2026 we can go somewhere else with one of you guys. So we can move around,
Excellent. Yeah. All right. Anyone else? Upcoming event or anything that you want the group to know about before we meet again in a month? Thanks for your time and for being here and caring about this. And if you have any recommendations or things that come up in the month, please don't hesitate to reach out and say, hey, I'd like for the group to discuss this. Add to that brainstorming document and enter in if there's a week that you would like to present. Other than that, we will plan to see you in a month. Thanks for joining.
See y'all.
Bye.